Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Have you ever wondered why science can feel so lonely and cutthroat? We are often told that to succeed in academia, you have to be the best, the first, and the only one standing at the finish line. But what if that competitive drive is actually holding us back from making real breakthroughs? Most people think of grant money like a giant pizza where everyone is fighting for a slice. And if your neighbor gets a bigger piece, it means less for you. This creates a zero-sum game where helping a colleague feels like shooting yourself in the foot. But researchers in the Netherlands decided to test a radical idea instead of acting like rivals. What would happen if they acted like a team? A group of 20 researchers from 12 different universities came together. They did not just want to write one paper. They wanted to change how science gets done. They held meetings to talk about the most important questions in their field, things that actually needed answers. Rather than just chasing whatever might win them a quick grant, they identified their top priorities and split into teams to write two different, but complementary, proposals. Think about that for a second. Usually people keep their grant drafts secret, hiding them like top secret government files. Here, the two teams read each other's work and actually suggested ways to make it better. It is like telling a competitor the secret ingredient to your award-winning cake recipe. They were betting that if they worked as a collective, the whole group would be stronger. And guess what? It worked. Both teams got their funding, which is a pretty incredible success rate in a system that usually rewards only the few. By working together, the researchers ensured that their projects fit together like two pieces of a puzzle. One team looked at the big rules of how we share data, while the other looked at the individual behaviors. They were covering all the bases because they talked to each other. This is the difference between 10 people trying to build 10 separate, wobbly chairs and 10 people working together to build one solid house. Of course, this was not easy. They were doing this for the first time. And they had to figure out how to work as a team while dealing with the stress of tight deadlines and personal lives. One of the biggest challenges was simply figuring out how to prioritize. When you have a group of smart, passionate people, everyone has a different idea of what is important. They also found that younger researchers felt some pressure to keep working on their own specific brand of research instead of the group vision. It is hard to be a team player when your career depends on proving that you specifically are the expert. This suggests a big shift in how we might view success. Imagine if universities rewarded researchers not just for their own papers, but for how much they helped others in their field succeed. That is what these researchers are advocating for. It reduces that frantic, lonely competition and replaces it with a shared fate. When you know your success is tied to the success of your partners, you are naturally going to be more helpful and less secretive. I think this study is a breath of fresh air. It proves that we do not have to be trapped in cutthroat competition just because the current system is set up that way. The biggest weakness here is that this was a small voluntary group who already trusted each other. It might be harder to do this on a massive global scale where there is even more pressure, but it is a start. It shows us that we can choose to coordinate. If we want science to be more efficient, maybe we need fewer lone wolves and more coalitions. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that like button, leave a comment about how you prefer to work, and subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab for more looks at the science behind our world. See you next time!